Waiters/waitresses of Reddit, what's the most awkward first date you had to witness firsthand? A teenage couple sharing an ice cream and holding hands very awkwardly. After they finished the ice cream, they kept talking about their very adventurous sexual fantasies. They were around 14 years old. Super awkward to have to interrupt them to ask if they want anything else. My sexual fantasy when I was 14 was holding hands. 25 here, it still is. Oh, I had much higher ambitions when I was 14. Now I'm 27 and it's reduced to holding hands. At this rate, it'll just be a thumbs up in chat 13 years later. Thumbs up, yeah, you like that? God, I hope they respond to you. I had these two people that were there on a first date. After the appetizers, this poor man got the craps and was going back and forth to the bathroom all night. There was only a few other people in the restaurant at the time, so it was noticeable, and they were chuckling every time he got up. I honestly felt so bad for the guy. What the hell did you feed him? Sugar-free Haribo gummy bears. Edit. People said to show the link for others who haven't seen the legendary review yet, so. Also, thanks for the awards, this is insane lol. Edit 2. Anyone know how to hyperlink? I want to make showing people the link easier. Edit 3. Thanks user Roofs was taken. I can hyperlink now. Web link. Reddit link. A review about the gummy bears. Well, the good news is that I can fit into my jeans from high school. I legit saw the guy try to roofie the girl. Like, not even trying to be hidden about it. He did it right in front of me. The girl went to the bathroom and I was cleaning the table next to them. I saw him take the powder out and slip it inside the drink. Another thing too, it was a pizza place. Who tries to roofie someone in a pizza place? Edit. Yes, I called the cops. Jesus, I like chaos, but I'm not an animal. Apparently a high school classmate of mine did this, or rather, tried to a coworker. Bartender also noticed, warned the girl, and the girl acted normal to stall him until the cops got there. I wonder if he's in jail yet. I worked with a guy years back who pulled that crap with a coworker. After we got off a closing shift, one of us would go and grab a case of beer and a group of us would hang out and have a beer or two while BSing about our day. We had some older creep who went off one day to buy the beer and hands one of the girls an open beer as soon as she walked up. The beer had already been open and he kept it aside from the case. I usually gave her a ride home, and the creep had told me earlier in the day that she had asked him to give her a ride home. When she told me she didn't feel good and asked if I could drive her home, he immediately started saying he was leaving and would do it. Nope. I took her straight to the hospital, and as soon as she blacked out I called one of the guys I knew was still there and told them not to let Mr. Creep leave, as I was calling the cops. It was honestly one of the few times I was really happy my father was a sheriff's deputy. Called, told him what was up, and the guy got arrested and charged. Later my dad told me they circled the block and ignored my coworkers beating the guy. She ended up okay. Turned out the creep had told her that I had said I hated driving her home. I do not tolerate people abusing people. I dealt with that crap all my childhood. Did you let the girl know? Yeah, I let the girl know, and then I called the cops. He was arrested. How did you keep him from running off? Did you stall him or something? I explained what happened and told the girl to keep things normal and to not take the drink. Eventually the cops showed up and I told them who it was. Arrested immediately, and last I heard, the girl pressed charges. Good for you and good for her. Clapping hands, clapping hands. Thank you. Legend. A couple was shown to their table, and the guy was on the phone the entire time. I normally wait until guests are off their phones to give my spiel, the specials and such, and take a drink order, but he didn't show any sign of getting off the phone. I take the order, which the guy just holds his hand over the phone, talks over his date. When I come back, she attempts to order an app, our house specialty, and he tries to say the portions are large enough without. She orders the zucchini anyway. I get the dinner order, and bring out the app. At this point, I hadn't been to the table when he hadn't been on the phone. While I was putting together the salad, the woman comes out to the lobby and asks to get her meal packed up. She ended up paying her half of the bill and ducking out. She told me this was their first date and she was set up by a soon-to-be former friend. Said she was going to be calling her friend as she walked out. When I brought the guy's meal to him, he asked where her dinner was and I told him what happened. He really thought she was in the bathroom. So, you mean on the phone as in he wasn't even scrolling, he was talking to someone else on his phone the entire time? Good lord, looking at your phone constantly is bad enough, but this is a whole other level. No, he was actively having conversations on his phone while his date just sat there looking around. It really was the worst I've ever seen. I'm interested in the zucchini appetizer. Could you please give more info about that dish? We sliced the zucchini into long, thin planks, dusted them with a flour mixture, and dipped them into a tempura batter. Then shake the excess batter off and lightly fry them. Squirt a little lemon, a sprinkle of Parmesan cheese and serve with marinara. Say lightly fried zucchini fillets one more time. Worked at a pub connected to a brewery in college. Dude comes in with a stunning woman, I mean she's absolutely gorgeous. Whole time they're sitting at the end of the bar, and you can hear the guy talking about how he has a room for them next door at the hotel in downtown. So they decide to go to the brewery next door, going to pull a little dine and dash. They got over there and didn't realize we are on the same system, so he orders a couple of beers, and the bartender on the brewery side asks if he wants to add it to his tab. He looks over confused and says, "What tab? I've never been here." She prints off the restaurant bill plus his brewery tab, it's like $80 or so. He just blankly stares at the poor bartender, flies off the handle. The girl he was with ended up paying for it. They walked across the street and to the hotel. He has already invited her up. She stalls until her Uber gets there and then just dipped out. Kind of funny, kind of awkward, but that's what you get for dine and dash. Edit 1. Since this is asked about multiple times, when the bar was in dining hours crowds were usually very manageable. We didn't take credit cards, we would just give the bill at the end of the meal. Similar to a traditional restaurant. They waited for the later crowd to show up around 9 and dipped while we were getting busier. That's the whole reason they weren't caught trying to leave the bar in the first place. Edit 2. Thanks for the upvotes and award. Much appreciated. Edit 3. The girl wasn't a willing participant from what I could tell. She had no idea he had dined and dashed. I think she had gone to the restroom or something at some point, so he could have said, "Oh, I got it." Or something along those lines. In what world does a dine and dash ever sound like a good idea, but especially when on a date? Especially when you are going to dash next door. Regardless of if the establishments are connected in any financial way. I have definitely texted other bartenders in the area to let them know if something sketchy is going on. Finding a dine and dasher in a bar next door would be really easy. It's just so effing scummy. If you can't afford to go out to eat/drink, then don't go out to eat and drink. At the end of the dinner, 2 couples on a double date dine and dash. I chased them down, and the girls had no clue. Their dates had told them they already paid. The girls ended paying, the guys had no cash. I worked at a restaurant in high school, along with a number of classmates. A group of 4 people that we all knew came in to eat, then left without paying. We just gave the manager their home phone numbers so she could speak with their parents. A girl from my high school called me one day and asked who a kid from the crosstown school was. I played football, wrestled, and grew up with him, so I was able to get it off her rough description and jog her memory. Him and his buddy, who I also identified, had dined and dashed at the Mongolian Grill across from the high school. The guy's card declines. I didn't want to embarrass him, so I waved him over near the credit card machine so it would look like he needed to go to the bathroom. He told me to try it again and I assumed he was going to move money over on his app. He went back to his date. Card declines again. The machine prints a receipt that states the reason for decline. Insufficient funds. I keep trying 4 more times. I go over to the table and say, "I'm having an issue with the card, might be our machine, do you have another?" I walk away with the new card, and it declines. I wave him over. He gets up angrily and I'm guessing now the date has caught on. He proceeds to berate me, saying that it must be our machines because he knows he has money. He starts making fun of me, questioning if I know what I'm doing. He is doing this in front of his date, I'm guessing to save face. Gives me another card. Declined. The date pays. My parents had a payment mix-up on their first date, too. Unlike in your story, it was an honest misunderstanding. This happened in the 80s when not every restaurant took credit cards, and you couldn't take your ATM card to another bank's machine. Step 1. Dad has a certain restaurant in mind, which takes cards. Step 2. Mom suggests a different restaurant she's been meaning to try, and they go there instead. Step 3. They realize after they've ordered that this place is cash only. Step 4. They find out the closest ATM is at a bank where my dad doesn't have an account, but my mom does. Step 5. Dad spends 15 minutes pretending he's just thinking really hard about this dessert menu, while mom jogs 2 blocks in high heels to an ATM that will take her card, gets the cash, and comes back to pay for dinner on a first date. Mind you, Dad is all for gender equality, but he promised to pay and had to renege because of this mix-up. He was mortified. Anyway, they've been happily married 33 years now. Mom tells that story as a firm example of why you should be willing to give people second chances. This is heartwarming, honestly, heart. Not a first date, but when I first started bartending, I had a woman who was very obviously stood up. She got there, ordered a drink, and would look around every once in a while. I saw her use her phone a couple times and her mood just got sadder until she finally put her phone upside down on the bar and ordered food an hour later. I wiped what I could off her bill, then paid the rest myself, told her it was on the house. In my career it's happened 2 more times, once with another woman and once with a guy. I did the same thing. Nothing sucks more than eating alone and defeated. Edit. Thank you for the upvotes and nice comments. Made my night. Edit 2. Seriously guys, you're so sweet. Not going to lie, today was kind of rough, but everyone has brightened it so much. I really appreciate it. That's really kind of you. Man, thank you. I got stood up and literally as soon as I put my card down to pay my bill, my date walked in. Drunk. Quickly said hi to me, then went over to the other side of the bar where he made out with another person. He then waddled over and asked me to join them on the other side of the bar? Like, no. You for sure dodged a bullet there, but Jesus Christ, that would be up there with the top weirdest things I'd have ever seen. The sheer audacity. Laughing out loud. Lady comes in to get a table, says she's expecting a man and gives us a brief description. He shows up about 10 minutes later and she starts saying she knew it. He looks very surprised and scared. I took a drink order and when I get back they are gone. The hostess fills me in that in my absence they had a heated but civil exchange. The man was married to the lady's cousin, also the lady was married. Apparently they had been texting for a while after meeting via Craigslist personals. I'm assuming the married but looking section. Don't know if they hooked up in the end or just called the whole thing off. Did they order pina coladas? I worked at a bar where like 50% of our business was from Tinder dates. This one time, 2 guys came in separately and sat at different tables by themselves, along the same wall. They were both facing the door and clearly waiting for dates. Eventually a woman comes in, walks up to the closest guy, sits down and they start chatting. They start ordering drinks. After 5 minutes, the other guy, who is still waiting by himself, gets up and walks over to the couple. He says hi to the girl and is like, aren't you so-and-so? I'm so-and-so, we were supposed to be meeting? She was clearly flustered, lots of awkward laughter, and she gets up and goes with the other guy to the other table. Couple minutes later the other woman shows up and sits with first guy and he tells her all about it. Lol. That is a little awkward, but kind of cute. Definitely a funny story to share later, though. And she spent the next 4 decades wondering what if she'd been able to finish the date with the guy she sat down with first, whom she was immediately more attracted to. This just reminded me of a funny story. Back in the day, before Tinder, or even cell phones, a friend of my sister's was in nursing school. This meant of course that she was friendly with a dozen or so of young, single women. My sister saw an opportunity to get our brother fixed up with one of these gals. The friend thought that a low-stress situation might be for her to arrange a blind date for my brother with a promising classmate, which would take place at their Friday night after classes meetup at a bar/restaurant. If the two didn't hit it off, they could casually wander into the group gathering and eventually go their separate ways. My brother arrived for the blind date, and sat at the bar waiting for her to arrive. As time went by and the young lady still hadn't shown up, he started chatting with another girl who was there for the Friday night meetup. They hit it off almost immediately, and by the time his date arrived, my brother realized that he'd rather continue on with the girl he'd been chatting up than start all over again with his date. A quick consult with my sister's friend confirmed that the other girl was good people, and they've been together ever since. They recently celebrated 35 years of marriage. I'm curious how they made this mistake. Did the guys look similar? Or the women, for that matter? It was 5 years ago, so I don't really remember details. The guys were both generic-looking white dudes. The women looked less similar. I think instead of walking up and introducing herself, she just said hi and sat down. Maybe was like, "Ugh, this dude doesn't look like his picture," or something, laughing my butt off. All I remember for certain is that she was definitely on the wrong date at first. When I hear generic white dude, I picture a late 20s guy, about a week's worth of beard or stubble, dark brown hair. Usually, I'm correct. Not a first date, but very awkward. Guy comes in with an escort and drops a good amount of money on booze at the bar. Then she leaves a few hours later, and he informs us that his wife is on her way to meet him for dinner and tips us an extra $200 to keep our mouths shut. Keeping it classy. We had a regular that would have drinks and appetizers with his girlfriend. She'd leave and his wife and kids would meet him for dinner. How effing lazy are you to decide going to 2 locations in one evening is just too much. Hey, they're being responsible and not driving while drunk. We had something similar. A dude used to come in every Saturday with his kids and wife, then one week he came in with his kids and a much younger girl. She's his new wife. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.